Hello everyone, so today I'm going to be doing my August wrap up, and I read 10 books in the month of August. I'm looking down for notes as always. But the first book I read this month was Asking For It by Louise O'Neill, and wow, what a book, honestly. I'm from Ireland, as you may or may not know, but that means that I am an Irish teenager who goes to school like many other teenagers, and this has been the first book that I've ever read that I've actually related to, that's actually been correct in the way it's speaking about the Irish teen culture, I guess you could say. Like, all the other books are written by kind of older authors, or anybody talking about it is usually older, which kind of annoys me because they don't really know what's the Irish culture, the Irish teenage culture is like nowadays. But Louise O'Neill hits it spot on. Like, she got it so correct, and there's so many things that I could relate to in the book. But there's things that happen, especially being in an all-girls school, and there's so many different things that happen and that you hear about that, like, the book kind of mentions slightly, and like, I don't relate to it fully. Like, it's a bit extreme in comparison to what I've experienced myself. But like, it's so she gets it so right, and it was a hard book to read, I'm not gonna lie. It's very, I can imagine that if you've ever been raped, I can imagine that it's very triggering. But it says on the front cover that she writes with a scalpel, or scalpel, but that is the truest thing I've ever heard in my life. She does write, it's like, it's very strong, very to the point. There's no sugarcoating anything. It's so amazing. Like, it's just, it was so thought-provoking, and yeah, I definitely recommend that every teenager should read it. The second book I read this month was Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens by Becky Albertalli. But oh my god, this book. I loved this book so much. It was so beautiful. It was like so happy, and I just loved it. I loved it so much, and it was just so funny. It was like the perfect amount of everything was in this book, and I just love it, and I can't wait to read more of Becky Albertalli's books because I love her writing style. It's so good. The next book I read this month was A World Without You by Beth Revis. This was a really good book. I liked it, but I thought it was a bit long for the story. I didn't think it needed to be that long, but the book brought me on a roller coaster, and I mean a roller coaster of emotions. I was like sitting there going, what the hell is happening? Like, I don't even know what to think right now. So it's an amazing book for that sense, but yeah, it was a bit long, I thought, for the story. Like, it's a little bit drawn out, and yeah, but that was the only really thing I kind of didn't like about it. But yeah, it's definitely a roller coaster of emotions book. Like, if you want that kind of a book, I think that's the book for you. The next book I read this month was We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. This book, it was okay. It was kind of, I thought it was a bit boring really to read throughout. The ending was really good. It was very much unexpected, and I love that. I love when an ending surprises me, because usually I guess the ending and sometimes I can be correct. So I like when it proves me wrong, but it was a little bit boring to read, you know. It was, I don't know, it's not like my favourite book. I mean, it's okay, but like, it's not crazy amazing either. The next book I read then was Stardust by Neil Gaiman. Can we talk about this cover as well? Look how pretty it is. I love it so much. It got really roughed up though because it rained when I was away on holidays. When I did a lot of this reading, I was away for 3 weeks. I was very lucky. I was traveling around France and Switzerland with my parents, but when we were in Paris, it was raining a lot, and the water soaked through my bag and got my book all mangly and messed up, and I'm really annoyed about it. This book, I loved it. I really did love it. It reminded me, Stardust was one of my favourite movies when I was younger, and it just brought me back to that, and I really love it. It's a very magical book. It's a little bit hard to get into, I think, because there's parts of it that can definitely be a bit boring, but I still love how it transported me into that kind of magical world. So the next book I read then was The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins. This was a good book. I went to see this movie actually in the cinema, so I already knew the ending. But if I hadn't watched the movie, I think I would have loved it a lot more. I did really enjoy it. So yeah, if I hadn't watched the movie, I probably would have enjoyed it a lot more. The next book I read was Little Women by Louisa M. Alcott. Oh my god, this book. I love it so much. I tried to I tried to read this book a long time ago when I was younger, and I couldn't read it because it has no plot really. The book is just about their lives, the 5 little women's lives. But I really loved it this time. It really reminded me of Christmas. It's definitely a book that you'd read during Christmas, I think. It made me feel very warm and cozy when I read it. The next book I read was Behind Closed Doors by B.A. Paris. This book was okay. I'm a bit iffy on it. I didn't really enjoy it that much, but I mean, it was still good. It was kind of one of those books that is just meh. I don't really know how I feel about it. My dog's freaking out in the background. Yeah, so I'm not really sure about this book. I don't know. I don't think I'd recommend it, really, to be honest. I thought the ending was very stupid for the book. The next book I read was Lies by T.M. Logan. I don't know. I really didn't enjoy this book that much, but the ending was unpredictable, I thought, but it's still I don't really like the way it was written. I found it quite boring, and yeah, I just didn't enjoy it. It wasn't my style, I guess you could say. The 10th book that I read this month was The Bad Beginning by Lemony Snicket, part of the A Series of Fortunate Events series. As you can imagine, it was pretty amazing. I loved it. I always wanted to read the books when I was younger, but I never got the chance, I don't know, so now I'm reading them. After I finish this series, I want to read Percy Jackson. You see, it's so hard to find a balance between school, YouTube, and reading at the same time. I'm struggling a little bit on the organisation, but I think reading a children's series is actually a really good thing to do while you're in school, because you're still keeping up to date with reading, but you're reading something that's slightly easier so that your mind doesn't have to be fully into it, if you get what I mean. I just got back from school as well, so I'm wearing my school skirt and a top, which is great style if you ask me. So that is it. Those are all the books I read this month. I had a pretty good reading month, a nice last bit of reading for the summer. I probably won't be doing any wrap-ups while I'm back at school, just because it's easier and it means that I don't have to have pressure on me to read a lot of books. Not that I had it during summer, but it was just easier because I knew I was going to read a good few books during the months in summer. So now I probably won't do any wrap-ups anymore. I might do reviews of books, but I don't think I'll do wrap-ups. So yeah. And if you have any tips on organisation, comment down below, because I'd love some tips. Oh, he's going to start barking now because there's a car coming. I have another dog too, but this one is the one that comes up with me. He's my oldest puppa. But both my dogs are rescue dogs, so yeah, aren't you, Murph? Thanks for watching. Bye.